So I spent, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes last night just staring at my Steam library, completely paralyzed.
Oh, the paradox of choice. I know it well.
Exactly. I was looking for something new, right? And I click on this one title, and the genre description was just pretty much a word salad. It was something like action-adventure roguelite with deck-building elements and strategic resource management.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there looking at this string of buzzwords, and I'm thinking, okay, but what do I actually do, with my hands? Do I shoot things? Do I talk to elves? Am I organizing a spreadsheet?
It's the universal confusion of the modern gamer, isn't it? You look at these storefronts and everything is a remix of a remix.
Yeah.
We're still clinging to these labels from the 90s like first-person shooter or platformer, but games have evolved so fast, they've become so hybridized that those labels are starting to feel like duct tape on a bursting pipe.
They just don't hold water anymore.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
It really does feel like that. And that frustration is exactly why I was so pulled in by the research we're digging into today. It offers a totally different way to look at all this chaos. We are looking at a really fascinating, and I'll say slightly obsessive, piece of work called Approche atomique du jeu vidéo.
Or the atomic approach to video games for our English listeners.
Right, by a researcher named Quentin Alvarez.
It is a dense read, but it's fascinating. And the mission here is, it's pretty bold. Alvarez basically looked at the entire industry and said, stop looking at the marketing posters, stop looking at the genre tags, look at the code.
He wants to do for video games what the periodic table did for chemistry. He wants to find the atoms of fun.
I love that analogy.
Me too.
Yeah.
The whole idea is that just as everything in the universe, stars, coffee tables, you, me, is made of the same tiny invisible atoms, every single video game, no matter how complex or weird, is built from the same tiny invisible rules.
That is the core thesis. He calls them gameplay bricks.
Hmm.
And his goal was to create a formal, scientific classification system. And this wasn't just an academic exercise. Originally, he was trying to solve a very practical problem.
What's that?
How to distinguish serious games, games for learning or training from pure entertainment. But to do that, he realized he had to back way, way up and figure out what a video game actually is at a structural level.
And to get to that definition, we have to take a detour that I honestly did not see coming when I opened this packet. We have to go back to 1928 to a guy analyzing Russian folktales.
Vladimir Prop.
Yes.
This is the unexpected spark for the whole theory.
Okay, let's unpack this because it sounds like a bit of a stretch. How do we get from Russian babushkas and magic swans to, Call of Duty?
It's all about structure versus skin. So Vladimir Prop was a folklorist, and he analyzed hundreds of Russian fairy tales.
Yeah.
And after reading them all, he had this profound realization. On the surface, the stories seemed completely different. In one story, a wolf eats the hero's horse. In another, a dragon steals the princess. In a third, a witch casts a spell on a village.
Right, so the skin of the story, the characters, the setting, all that is different.
Exactly. But Prop realized that if you strip away that skin, the skeleton underneath was identical. The character of the villain always blocks the hero. The donor character always gives a magical gift.
So the flavor changes, but the recipe is exactly the same.
That's it. And Alvarez just asked a very simple question. Can we do this for video games? If you strip away the HD graphics, the zombies, the aliens, the orchestral music, are the functions of the player actually limited? Are we all just doing the same 3 or 4 things over and over again, just in different costumes?
And this leads us right back to the problem with genres that we started with. The source material has this fantastic comparison between 2 games from the 80s to prove the point. Duck Hunt and Prohibition.
Yes, this is a classic example of why our labels fail.
Hmm.
So everyone knows Duck Hunt. Nintendo, 1984. You've got that bright orange plastic light gun. You aim it at the TV. You shoot the ducks. The dog laughs at you.
A core childhood memory for millions, yeah. And the marketing label for that was light gun game. It was defined by the hardware.
Right. Now compare that to Prohibition from 1987. In that game, you play a detective. You see criminals pop up in windows, and you have to shoot them. But, and this is the key, you played it with a keyboard or a joystick. You moved a little crosshair on the screen.
So marketing called that an action game or a shoot 'em up?
Exactly. Different genres, different shelves in the video store. But Alvarez argues that if you look at the atoms, the rules, they're identical. In both games, the rule is point at a target and validate the hit.
The input is different, the gun versus the joystick, but the interaction is the same.
And Alvarez makes this great point that classifying games based on hardware, like light gun games, is just scientifically flawed because hardware dies. You literally can't play Duck Hunt with a light gun on a modern TV.
Oh, right, because of the refresh rate on LED screens?
The tech doesn't work. But the rule of pointing and shooting, that's eternal. That is the atom. It shifts the focus from the machine to the logic.
Okay, so Alvarez and his colleague Damon Jowdy, they decided to go hunting for these atoms, and they didn't just guess, they did the legwork.
Oh yeah, they analyzed 588 games.
That's a lot of quarters.
It was mostly arcade games from the 70s and 80s, which was a smart choice. Those games were pure gameplay. No hour-long cutscenes, no complex skill trees, just raw, repeatable loops. And they were looking for those recurring rules.
And they came up with the definition of a gameplay brick. So for everyone listening, we need to be clear here. How do they define a brick? Is graphics a brick?
No. A gameplay brick has to be a rule of action, and it has to be linked specifically to the player. It's not what the computer does, it's what you do.
Okay, so the sky turns blue is not a brick. I jump is a brick.
Correct. And this is where it gets really interesting, because they found that these bricks rarely just float around alone. They combine, they form molecules, which they called metabricks.
I really do love this chemistry analogy. It just holds up so well. Hydrogen is a brick, oxygen is a brick. Put them together, you get water.
Right. And the formula for a game molecule is usually pretty simple. One gain brick, which is the objective, plus one play brick, which is the means to get there.
The goal plus the method.
Let's look at the stack to see how this works. Okay, take the meta brick they call driver. To get a driver situation, you need the objective brick, avoid, and the means brick move.
Avoid plus move. Okay, so obviously a racing game, I'm moving the car to avoid the other cars.
Yes, but strip the skin away. Think about Pac-Man.
Pac-Man?
What are you doing in Pac-Man? You are moving through a maze to avoid the ghosts.
Whoa, okay, so technically, structurally, Pac-Man and Need for Speed are built from the same molecule.
That is the aha moment. The camera's different, the speed is different, the graphics are totally different. But the atomic structure, the core gameplay loop, is identical.
Give me another one. I want to test this.
All right, let's do the metabrick killer. This one combines the objective destroy with the means shoot.
Destroy plus shoot. Space Invaders.
Space Invaders, Galaga. But also Doom, but also Call of Duty. You shoot to destroy the enemy.
It seems so simple when you break it down like that, but here's where the story takes a turn that I really appreciate. Alvarez didn't just publish this, pat himself on the back, and walk away. He stress-tested it.
He believed in the scientific method. If the theory's any good, it should hold up to scrutiny.
So he let students, actual future game designers, try to break the model. He basically said, here's my beautiful periodic table, now show me where I'm wrong.
And they did. They broke it almost immediately.
I love that. The arrogance of youth meeting the rigidity of academia. What was the first thing they went after?
They attacked the verbs, the definitions. The students pointed out some serious flaws. For one, the original list of bricks included random.
Which sounds fine, right? Games have luck. Dice rolls, random encounters.
But remember the definition of a brick. It has to be an action the player takes. Random isn't a verb you can do. The universe is random. A player isn't randoming.
Ah, I see. If I roll a die, I'm not being random. I'm just initiating an action that has a random outcome.
The students argue that if it's a gameplay brick, the player has to initiate the randomness. So they forced a change. They changed the brick from random to randomize.
That's a subtle but really important shift. So like pulling the lever on a slot machine, I am performing the action of randomizing the outcome.
Exactly. It puts the agency back on the player. But then came the microphone problem.
The microphone problem sounds like a bad indie band.
It does. Students brought up games like SingStar, where you use your voice. The original model just had a brick called write, which was for inputting data via a keyboard.
Okay, so typing your name, that's write.
Right. So the researchers at first said, well, singing is just inputting audio data, so it's the same as write.
But is it... I mean, you are inputting information.
The students pushed back hard.
Yeah.
They said, no, if I type a password, the speed doesn't matter, the rhythm doesn't matter. But if I'm singing in SingStar, pitch matters, rhythm matters, duration matters. It's a fundamentally different physical skill.
That's a great point. If I dictate a text to my phone, that's writing. But if I'm belting out Bohemian Rhapsody for points, that's a performance?
Precisely. So they had to forge a brand new atom. They added the brick vocalize.
It's like discovering a new element. But the biggest fight, the one that really seemed to shake the whole theory, was about the concept of destroy.
This was the destroy paradox. This gets into the nerdy deep end, so stay with me.
Strapped in.
Okay. Originally, destroy was listed as an objective, a goal. But students looked at games like Bomberman. In Bomberman, you blow up walls. Why? To get to the enemy. So you're destroying things as a means to an end.
Right, so they argued destroy should be a means brick, like shoot or move. I am destroying this wall to get past it. That makes total sense to me.
But Alvarez and his team dug deeper. And they realized something really subtle about the physics of video games. You don't destroy a wall directly. You don't just, look at it and it vanishes.
Well, no, I place a bomb. Or I shoot a rocket at it.
Exactly. You use a means, you shoot, you punch, you choose to place a bomb. The destruction is the result of that action, not the action itself.
Oh, that is a brain twister. So my action is placing the bomb. The result is destruction.
Yes. And this distinction is crucial for game design. So this led to a massive restructuring of the whole periodic table. They created a whole new category called outcome bricks.
So destroy isn't what you do, it's what happens because of what you do.
Correct. And they added its opposite. Create.
Like in Minecraft.
Perfect example. You click to place a block. That's the action choose. And the result is create. You have now added an element to the world.
This is getting really precise. It feels like we're debugging the very concept of play. But there was one more brick that was causing trouble. Manage.
Ah, yes. The brick, manage, or gerer. Think of a game like SimCity. You have gold, you have wood, you have ammo. You have to manage your resources.
Which sounds like an action to me. I am managing my city.
But is it? Or is it more of a cognitive check?
Explain that. What do you mean by cognitive check?
In SimCity, let's say you want to build a police station. You click the button. Does the game just let you?
No, it checks if I have enough money. If I'm broke, nothing happens.
Right. The computer checks your bank account. The managing isn't something you're doing with your hands. It's a filter. It's a condition. The game is saying if you have $500, then you can build.
Ow. So the manage part is actually the gatekeeper.
Exactly. So manage was reclassified from an action to a condition brick. In their visual model, they actually draw it as a filter that sits on top of another brick. You cannot shoot if the manage brick checks your ammo and finds 0.
That makes so much sense. It's the bouncer at the club. You can't come in or you can't shoot unless you have the ticket.
Perfect analogy. It's the logic gate.
So after all this testing and breaking and fixing, they arrived at version 3.0 of the periodic table. And this is the final list from the source. It's surprisingly short.
It is. They distilled all of video game history down to just 11 bricks.
Okay, lay it on us.
Yeah.
What are the fundamental atoms of every single video game in existence?
Okay, we have 4 categories. First, the objectives, the game part. There are only 2 left. Avoid and reach.
Wait, only 2? Every game is either avoiding something or reaching something.
Or reaching a state. So killing all enemies is reaching the state of 0 enemies. Surviving until dawn is avoiding death until a timer runs out.
Okay, I'll buy that. It covers a lot of ground. What's next?
Then we have the means the play part. There are 6 actions. Move, randomize, choose, shoot, write, and vocalize.
Just 6 actions for every game. From Tetris to Elden Ring.
According to the theory, yes. Then you have the outcomes. Create and destroy. And finally, the condition. Manage. That's it. 11 bricks.
That is disturbingly simple. I want to try to break it again. Let's take Elden Ring. Huge open world. Swords, magic, horses.
It's a molecule. You move your character on the horse, you shoot magic or swing a sword, and we'll get to the sword part in a second. That's a whole thing. You destroy enemies. You manage your stamina bar and health potions, and your objective is to reach the end of the game.
It fits. It actually fits.
Let's look at a totally different genre. Warcraft 3, real-time strategy.
Massive.
Yeah.
Armies, bases, heroes.
Break it down. You create units. You destroy enemies. You move your armies. You manage your gold and lumber. And your objective is to reach a state where the enemy's base is gone.
It's like looking at the Matrix code. You stop seeing the orc and start seeing the bricks. But this brings up a huge question for me. If this system is so precise, why don't I see contains, move, shoot, manage on the back of a game box? Why are we still using action adventure?
Well, the source material actually addresses this head-on. They showed this model to industry professionals, like Eric Brown from Impact Games. And the feedback was mixed.
Mixed how? Did they think it was wrong?
No, they thought it was too right and too boring. They said it's too tedious for marketing. Imagine trying to sell a game with a chemical formula. Buy our new game, it's avoid plus move plus manage.
Yeah, that doesn't exactly scream epic fantasy adventure. It screams Homework.
Exactly. It doesn't sell the fantasy. The industry prefers first-person shooter because it conveys the feeling of the game quickly, even if it's scientifically messy. This periodic table is a tool for designers, for historians, for researchers. It's for looking under the hood, not for selling the car.
That makes sense. It allows for a bias-free analysis because you're looking at the rules, not the pictures.
Right. And actually, speaking of shooters, we have to circle back to that Briques shoot.
Right.
Because this was one of the funniest parts of the research for me.
Oh, right. The killer meta brick. You said shoot is one of the 6 main actions, but what about Street Fighter? I'm punching people. I'm not shooting them.
This is where academic necessity just crashes into common sense. Alvarez and the team had a choice. Do we make a new brick called HIT, or do we just expand the definition of shoot? They went with expanding shoot. They argued that from a computer's perspective, a punch is functionally identical to a gunshot.
I'm sorry, what? A punch is a gunshot?
Think about the code. You press a button, an attack is generated as a hitbox. It checks for a collision. If it collides, damage happens. The only difference is the range.
I mean, I guess, but it feels very different to punch someone than to snipe them from a mile away.
To you, yes. To the computer, no. In the source, they defined a punch as, and I just love this phrasing, a projectile with a range of 0.
A punch is a projectile with a range of 0. That is the most nerdy scientific way to describe a fist fight I have ever heard in my life.
But it's logical. A fireball in Street Fighter travels across the screen. A punch travels 0 inches. But the function projecting a damaging signal is the same. So they actually renamed shoot to shooter in the French text to encompass this broad idea of sending a damaging signal, whether it's a bullet, a fireball, or a fist.
So if I'm playing Street Fighter, atomically, I am playing a shooter.
Effectively, yes. You are projecting hitboxes at an opponent to deplete their health.
This really changes how you look at the screen. You know, we started this deep dive talking about how messy genres are, RPG elements, roguelike, Souls-like, and we've ended up with this incredibly clean, almost clinical list of 11 bricks.
It's a shift from a biological view of games classifying them by what they look like to a chemical view classifying them by what they're made of.
And what I find so empowering about this atomic theory is that it connects everything. The source material makes the point that even these huge, complex modern games are just sophisticated molecules made of the same ancient atoms found in Pong.
Pong is the hydrogen of video games. It's as simple as it gets. Avoid the ball going past you and reach the ball with your paddle using Move EE.
Simple, primordial, but it's the basis of everything that came after.
Exactly. Call of Duty is just Pong with more shoot bricks and way better graphics. FIFA is just Pong with 22 paddles and a manage brick for stamina.
It makes you realize that game design isn't really about inventing new atoms. We've probably found them all. It's about the architecture. How do you combine, manage, and move in a way that feels totally new?
That's the beauty of it. The creativity isn't in the bricks, it's in the blueprint.
So here's my challenge to you listening right now. Think of your favorite game. The one you think is too complex, too weird, too story-driven to be reduced to a formula. Try to break it down.
Does it fit the 11 bricks? Or does it break the model?
Or have you found the 12th element?
Oh, now that would be a discovery. If you find the 12th brick, let us know. We might have to update the periodic table.
Thanks for diving in with us today.
Keep analyzing.
And keep playing. See you next time.